is mean. So your question was how the new computer is working. Well, the fact that I just went live would probably say a lot.
Yep.
So I so the new computer is back up and running. There was a problem with an O-ring, and it's been replaced. Everything's been retightened, and for good measure, I went ahead and bought another bottle of the coolant, just in case this problem happens again. And we were concerned that we were going to have to dump the entire contents of the rest of the bottle in there because we lost so much. So
How
much.
easy,
Go ahead.
how difficult is it to refill the contents, well, the reservoir for the liquid cooling system?
I'm glad you asked. Are you watching the stream?
Yep.
Okay. Let me go ahead and move a couple of things aside and turn the camera. Mind the limited edition McDonald's Batman cup. Let me go ahead and bring the camera a little
I
bit closer.
remember that cup. Those cups were awesome.
Batman Forever, if I recall.
That was back in 93. I remember every now and again McDonald's did like specials for like special cups.
Actually, I think it was '94 because Batman Forever was at the near end of the Super NES's heyday, and they made the game like Mortal Kombat but a platformer. It was an awful multi-platform game. So anyway, how does the coolant get into the machine? Um, I'm not sure if you can see it from here, but I'll try and point it
Let's see.
with my
Right
back
by
scratcher.
the fans, it looks like something like a tank.
Yeah, right here is the tube. Right here
Yep, I
is
see
the
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 two.
reservoir, and there's a tube right here that goes up and into the CPU, and the other end goes into the radiator. Well, there's also two pipes that are coming into the reservoir. One is coming from the radiator and going back into the reservoir, but then there's this other one that goes directly upward through the case. There is actually a fill port up here to where I can dump water inside. Water or coolant, if you will. It's probably better just to dump coolant in there because it actually removes algae rather than produces it like
Yeah,
water
water
does.
can to create algae.
Yes, it can because water is alive. It's alive. So yeah, that's how the coolant gets inside. Now there is a small problem with this, and that is that I have to fill it very slowly and very carefully because there's a little bit of an effect that is produced that is normally only taking place when you put gas in your car or something like that or some kind of transmission fluid. I never heard the term vapor lock before. Vapor lock
Can't
is just
say I've heard that either.
yeah, vapor lock is where there is there's like a pocket of air preventing liquid from going through. And so
Mechanically, I can see that.
even though it's a direct beeline downward, it can still overflow without even reaching the apex going down into the reservoir. So yeah, it's best to do it in small bursts or just simply let it go drip by drip by drip by drip. Dad prefers the latter, I prefer the former. Just slight little drinks, little sips here and there. You know, kind of like you and I drink. Just little sips here and there.
Yep.
So Kiri, I got a question regarding the Ace Combat series. Do you have any memories of said series?
My main memory started with first air combat on the PlayStation.
Oh,
Then nothing really between 2 and 3. Then coming in with Ace Combat 4 Unsung War, and going on from there through Ace Combat 6. Those are where my memories are.
I I am so sorry, man, because I streamed and beat Air Combat. I think it was
I think I saw you do
Sa-
that.
Saturday night. I think.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
Saturday
That
night I went through
4
Air
you did
Combat,
afterward.
and my God, that was frustrating. Air Combat. I hated the fact that
It was a product
crashed
at
your
the time.
if you crashed your jet, it was gone forever.
Kind of did like what Panzer Battalion did with the Iron Storm. What was that game on the like Xbox that had like that $900 console thing?
That would be Steel Battalion.
Steel Battalion. That was it.
Uh, it feels like it's $1,000, but it's actually just 200. Still, it's enough to be its own game console, and I'm surprised that nobody's ever tried replicating that for PC.
I that thing actually was a really cool thing. I tried it at like some conventions and it was a really fun game. But my god, that the control scheme, it was expensive. I could see why it probably didn't exactly go around all that well.
I I had an Xbox, I just never got to get Steel Battalion because I never made enough money at my job at Kroger to be able to afford it. Because I was always putting money into my cable bill. Well, at least my portion of the cable bill. Okay, before I go into the game, I should also mention I also got a new mic.
Sounds pretty good.
Yes, this is the Avermedia USB mic, and it works pretty well. That's actually how you're able to hear me. Before I was using the I was actually using the mic inside the webcam. I'm not sure if there's any difference in quality. Let me repeat that. I'm not sure if there's any difference in quality.
If you could bring your voice up maybe an octave, slow it down, and request somebody to take a seat.
I humbly request that you take a seat.
Okay, we may need to go an octave or two higher, but pretty good.
Why don't I just turn it up a little bit more? At least I think that's the mic's volume bar. Let me take a look
I
at this.
I don't mean like the mic's volume bar. I mean like the physical tonal voice, like octaves. Uh, you know what an octave is, right? Okay, when you were in school, they did have like singing classes, right?
I humbly request that you take a seat.
One octave down, and I think would be good at a good Chris Hansen.
I humbly request that you take a seat.
There we go. Sounds good.
Yeah, we'll get the highlight for that, and then you can use that as a ringtone or something. Meanwhile, I'll just use the Star Wars screaming intro for my ringtone. For those that have never heard that before, just it's on YouTube. It's just simply called the Star Wars screaming intro, and it is something you will never ever hear anywhere else. And I really wish that similar stuff would be made in this style. I would just love to make uh, screaming intros for professional wrestlers. It,
I
it
make it to the bank.
it just sounds like something, I don't know, maybe Chris Larios would do it. I don't know.
Problem is so much of the good stuff it's already been done, and it feels like the '90s were like the heyday for that stuff. Early 2000s as well.
It the way this intro was done, it just sounds like something you would hear on perhaps what maybe it's not something you would normally hear. Maybe what or 4chan or maybe even 8chan or something awful back in the day, back when it was actually funny. Also, hey Maze, what's up, man?
Before you had to pay to join.
You always had to pay to join because after all, they want all of your money. Oh, oh. All right, let me go ahead and get the intro out of the way.